I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Great.
Thanks, Bob.
Tonight's consent agenda. City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. Action to set a public hearing for August 11th, 2020, 6:30 for the fiscal year 2021 budget. And 2020 appropriation ordinance number AO-20-14 in the amount of $4,056,890.13. Questions, comments, or amendments to these first three items on the consent agenda?
I have none. Just the only thing is, just again, about half of it relates back to this is the time when we have our purchase from, power purchase from Grand River Dam Authority, and that was about $2.6 million. And then the transmission fee that goes to, with that is almost $500,000. Payroll amounted to $404,000, and there's some other expenses on here. The electric department is continuing to upgrade some of the downtown lights in the downtown area on Patterson Boulevard to LED, and then those on, I believe, past Elm to Willow, in those areas there on 8th and 9th that were painted black to match the rest of them, and then they'll have the LED lights on them. So just continuing to improve things as much as we can. That's all I've got.
Good. Anyone else? I will make a motion to approve items 1 through 3 on the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Bauer, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. 2020 appropriation ordinance number AO-20-14A for items in the amount of $153.43. Questions or comments or amendments on this one?
There are no questions or comments. I'll make a motion to approve item number 4 on the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve item 4 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Abstain.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
This time we'll take comments from the public. The public is free to comment on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who may also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes.
Mayor and Commissioners.
Well, Max?
Give your Max.
Max.
On. I just got a question. Have any of you drove across the railroad tracks on East First lately? I'd advise you not to. You're liable to lose your whole vehicle.
Yeah, they are
Why
bad.
can't something be done? That's pitiful, guys. That's shameful.
Yeah. We'll have to reach out to
I mean, the
Watco on
city ought to
that.
be ashamed of themselves. Got tracks like that?
That's, we need to reach out to
Ask him.
Watco on that and address it from
Can't you
Watco's
put
standpoint.
pressure on Wadco? There's sure, don't tell me there's not some way you can put pressure on them to fix it.
We'll apply more, but we had that same call just a couple of months ago, and we've asked them to come out and
Yep.
Yeah.
take care of that.
It's bad.
I've
It
been
is
in
bad.
dozens of other cities. Nobody has railroad tracks crossings like we do.
Yep. 4th
and 8th ain't much better.
8th isn't a whole lot better. I drive
The
over
only
it every
good
morning.
one's the underpass.
Yep.
Right.
The underpass is
The
the good one.
underpass is great, yeah.
I agree with you on that one, Max. So
No.
we'll reach out. Yeah, we'll reach out to
Can we
Watco.
get a commitment that we'll get something done about it?
Yeah, we'll.
We will
I mean,
try.
they're here to do business,
Yep.
and surely there's some way we can convince them they need to fix those things.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. 1st, 4th, and 8th are all in not very good shape.
Oh,
I've driven all of them
terrible.
A bunch
lately.
of new track and ties through there. Surely they can move on to the crossing and take care of that.
Yeah, you would think so. Seems like a prime opportunity right now, since, like you said, they are adding on all
Right.
those extra rails. So,
Well, if they don't, I'll be back, okay?
Okay.
all right, Max.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Anyone else? We don't have a room full, so I
Yeah.
didn't figure there was too many. I didn't make sure there wasn't anyone else. So at this time, we'll move into regular agenda items. So an announcement of the Coffeyville Police Department grant award to respond to coronavirus. And Chief of Police Quinn Bromley will make comments.
I'll take that off. Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Earlier this year, the state of Kansas announced the availability of over $6 million in federal grants to local jurisdictions for preventing, preparing for, and responding to coronavirus. The police department applied for this grant and indicated if awarded, we would utilize the funds to purchase PPE, masks, gloves, sanitizer. Additionally, we requested overtime reimbursement for staff due to COVID-19 and the purchase of specialized dispatch software, which would enable our dispatchers to receive vital information, transfer that information out, and get those calls for service answered by emergency services faster. The PD was notified this month of the governor's office administering the grant program that we had been selected to receive the grant, and was awarded $61,655 to prevent, prepare, and respond to COVID-19 in our community. Normally, I don't recognize people that participated in the grant, but Chad Souls wrote that grant. He did an awesome job, and he had assistance from Stephanie Richardson.
It's
So I wanted
fantastic.
to let you know that those two individuals participated in that grant and were chiefly responsible for us receiving it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yes, that is fantastic. And one thing I will add to that, in the last year, we've been so fortunate on the grants we've gotten.
Yes.
I mean, we've really, the group has really went above and beyond in the last year to get the grants that we have received. So
Well,
kudos.
there's a focus on achieving that as
Yep.
well, and that's a good thing. So,
I agree.
yep,
So
yep.
whatever the mind shift and the status shift has been, it's fantastic. So
I guess I'm back up here for the next.
Yeah.
you didn't get to leave yet.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll move into new business. Resolution number R-20-49, a resolution to allow the Coffeyville Police Department to apply for 2021 federal Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Quinn Bromley will make comments.
Yeah, Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. The federal Edward J. Byrne Memorial Grant is made available every year for law enforcement to assist in numerous projects, including officer safety. This particular grant would enable us to purchase and upgrade and expand our digital communication system, purchase equipment to improve our law enforcement services for the city of Coffeyville and our surrounding area. Specifically, we are looking at replacing all of our handheld Kenwood walkie-talkies. Those are carried by the officers 24/7, 365. They're exposed to all kinds of weather, the elements, shock from hitting the ground, etc. The radios have a life cycle of 8 to 10 years. We're reaching that. These radios were placed back in 2013. They were actually manufactured in 12, so they're actually reaching that point. Additionally to that, we are also looking at expanding out our regional coverage for our radio system. You might recall in May, we had a shooting incident where an individual shot one of our officers. That individual fled into another jurisdiction east of here. We lost radio communications with our officers, and we're finally able to reach him by telephone, by cell phone. Fortunately, that happened at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there were other law enforcement agencies available to take over that pursuit. But if that occurred at 3 in the morning, that suspect probably would have gotten away in all likelihood. Because once we lose communications, they've got to return back just for their safety. So we're looking at expanding our radio communications by putting a repeater east of here. I visited with the Parsons Police Chief. He's interested in working with us on that project. And that's part of that whole total group of working together with other law enforcement agencies to assist each other. Additionally, we are also looking at raising the height of our current backup radio tower behind the police station. I don't know if any of you are familiar or have been back there, but the backup tower is about 10 feet tall. We'd like to add another 3 to 4 sections to that to get that up over the roof line of the building. So in the event that we were to have an issue with our current radio tower, then we would have that backup capability and be able to reach out further. than our current area. Also, we have a hostage crisis negotiator team. One of the things that we would do with this equipment is purchase a handheld, more modern and very sophisticated handheld blowhorn. For all intents and purposes, that's the layman term for it. But it's a long-range acoustic device. We have a countywide crisis team, so with that, we are responding out into the rural areas, backing up other agencies that could have residences that are further off the roadway than what we currently have inside the city. So we need that capability of reaching out at further distances. The specs on that device are included in the packet, and you can see that it goes out an extremely long distance and is crystal clear. We've deployed with our crisis negotiator team 3 times this year to Independence and just on the outskirts. So we believe that that device would really help out when dealing with emotionally disturbed people. Currently, we have to use a patrol car to pull up close to the structure to communicate to them, and that's not ideal for safety purposes for the officer and the negotiator. And then finally, we'll end up purchasing if approved with grant, all this equipment, we'll end up purchasing a metal detector. Typically, when we have crime scenes, we have to go out and borrow somebody's metal detector. It's not been an item that we really budgeted for in the past, that even having been in the investigations, it's not something you think about till you actually are out in the field looking for brass from a fired firearm. And so it tends to get lost. So anyways, before we use that proposal, we're recommending the approval for this grant application. The feds have made it clear that they have not appropriated money for this yet, so there's no guarantee that this will be approved, but with your approval, we can at least move that process forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you like. I know there's a lot of information. I didn't read it all word for word.
No, it's-
No,
for
it's-
just-
I read through most of it earlier, and, my opinion is obviously you know what your department needs better than the 5 of us know what your department needs. So if these are your top 5 on your agenda, on your need list, I don't have a problem with you going out, and I mean, it's grant money, right? So
Correct.
it's your decision on what you spend it on, so.
I will let you know that the grant funds do not sustain these programs. So later, as batteries start wearing out and that
Yep.
kind of thing, we'll have to take care of those expenditures through normal procurement
Okay.
expenditure process.
And we have no local match involved in this.
No local match
This is
involved
just,
in this.
Now,
Now,
specifically,
They indicate in the program, though, if you want to do a local match, they'll be happy to allow you to do that.
Right.
But in our case, we did not. And we detailed it out that
Yeah.
due to the coronavirus and sales tax collections, that kind of thing, that we felt best that we not
So there's
request a local match.
there's an obvious need here for some of this equipment. So what, if the grant funds do not come through, do you have a plan to purchase some of this through your own budget?
Inevitably, we'll have to start purchasing it. Obviously, the long-range acoustic device is more of a want than an actual need. I have through a grant that we received through the Homeland Security, we received a $22,000 throw phone system. We can utilize that. We can still utilize the car. Our people are really good at making do with the equipment that they have. But top priority would be our communications.
Yep.
It's inevitable. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when we start
Yeah.
having them go down. In fact, we're already starting to have handhelds go down now.
Well,
We
so
are
you-
getting them repaired.
You referred to the incident where the gentleman shot at officers as he was fleeing town, and so going through that area, not long after that happened, I saw several officers out trying to find the brass. So a metal detector would have definitely come in very handy. in
It
that
would
case.
have, and we've been fortunate enough, we have a good group of people have loaned us their metal detectors in the past, but I would like to purchase our own in case we were to damage
Sure.
one.
sure,
Not that we have, but.
right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
This is a pretty in-depth grant, I mean, to apply for. There's a lot of restrictions, stipulations, conditions that you all have to follow
Yep.
and keep up on. It's just not they give you the money and that's it if you're awarded. You've got to
Correct. And
report
we-
back and So-
Part of that is we have to log all the equipment when
Right.
we do utilize it. And
Right.
attach case number with it, which we do, in case
Right.
we are audited.
Right.
And we have been in the past,
Uh-huh.
and clearly
Good.
did well with that audit.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm assuming Chad helped you with, is he working in on this too? You all do a great job. And
Yeah.
like
Very thorough.
Mayor said, you've just been able to get a lot of grants, and it's through all the staff's hard work, and know what you need.
We
and
appreciate
take
that.
it out. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Any other questions? I will move to approve resolution number R-20-49 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Bauer, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to approve Resolution R-20-49
Quinn.
as presented.
Thank
Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Resolution number R-20-50, a resolution authorizing the offering for sale of general obligation refunding bonds of the city of Coffeyville, Kansas. Director of Finance Stephanie Richardson. And we're going to have a dial-in if we can get it to work. So,
Is he there? Okay. Okay.
I think
Mayor
we're ready
and
for you.
Commissioners. This evening, we have Tom Calico, which is with Baker Tilly, working on our bond refunding. This, again, is related to the Series 2011A general obligation bonds and the Series 2015B electric revenue bonds. Tom was instrumental in helping us get that financing done for the new generation plant. So he is here with us via conference call tonight to kind of go over this resolution and what our next steps are in this bond refunding process. Tom, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Sorry I couldn't be there with you in person, but I'm looking at you all on my computer screen so I can see you.
Delayed.
So as Stephanie mentioned, we have a couple of refunding opportunities available to us to refund outstanding debt for interest cost savings. With municipal bonds, it's often really not a case of if you're going to refund, it's really a question of when, and we've hit that time frame. So I'll go over them individually. The first is a refunding of the Series 2011A, which are general obligation bonds that funded electric, wastewater, street, and water system improvements. We're refunding, $2,890,000 principal. This is what's called a current refunding. Under the tax laws, for tax-exempt bonds, we can currently, under the current laws, we can refund for interest cost savings on a tax-exempt basis if we're at the call date. All municipal bonds, most municipal bonds, have a date at which they can be called and paid off. And we're hitting that point. The redemption date on that is November of this year. So as long as we refund those within 90 days of that call date, it's considered a current refunding, and we can do it on a tax-exempt basis, which is the plan for the 2011A bonds. The future value savings estimated at this point is about $323,000. That's 10.4% of the refunded principal. The Government Finance Officers Association generally sets as a guideline 3% refunded savings, so we're well in excess of the Government Finance Officer's recommendation. The second refunding we have is the 2015B electric utility system revenue bonds, and as Stephanie alluded to, I got to participate in that financing, and that was quite an undertaking. So it's very gratifying to see us coming around to being able to do a refunding and reduce the interest cost savings. Those were originally issued as electric system revenue bonds, so backed solely by utility revenues. And we're suggesting refunding those with taxable general obligation electric utility system refunding revenue bonds. So there's a whole lot there. Let me kind of dissect that for you. So first, this is an advance refunding as opposed to the current refunding we just discussed, which means it's going to be done more than 90 days before the call date. Let's see, the call date for this series of bonds is June 1 of 2025, so we're well in advance. Under current tax laws, our only ability to do an advance refunding is on a taxable basis. So taxable meaning that the interest earned by bondholders will be taxable under income tax rules. So one might ask, well, why would you go from tax exempt to taxable when the taxable rates are higher? In this particular case, the taxable rates are so low at this particular point in time that we can proceed with the refunding and still achieve a very, very good savings. So good that really, if we were to wait till the call date and incur the interest rate risk, the risk of rates going higher, that we could actually end up, quite easily end up with lesser savings if we waited. So thus the decision to move ahead with the taxable advance refunding. The other piece of this is that we are suggesting going to basically a double-barreled, what's called a double-barreled security. So it'll be backed first to be paid by the electric system revenues, just as we currently have, but then also ultimately paid from tax, could be paid from taxes if, for some reason, the utility system revenues were insufficient. And the decision there is based strictly on trying to achieve the lowest interest rate possible and achieve the highest possible savings. Savings on this is really quite significant. Of course, it gets bigger with the bigger amount of bonds, but we're talking about refunding $38 million approximately of principal. The future value savings is about $3.4 million, and that's about 6.5% of refunded principal. So again, well over that 3% benchmark set by the Government Finance Officers Association. If we proceed, the schedule is that we would take bids. We'd sell this through a competitive sale, so we would take bids on August 25th at 10 a.m. And under competitive sale, essentially the lowest interest rate wins. Any investment bank that's interested or any syndicate of investment banks that are interested are free to bid. And so we would take bids at 10 a.m. on the 25th with your review at 6:30 that evening. We're looking at closing on September 24th and redemption of the 2011A bonds at the beginning of November. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I think that was a good explanation.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I do
$3.7 million in savings on those two bonds. That's pretty significant. Everyone should be happy with that. So,
Yes.
It sounded like somebody said 3.7. It's 3.4.
Yeah,
well,
but if you add them
the
both
two together
yeah.
would be about 3.7.
Oh, the two together, yes.
Yeah.
You're right. You're exactly right.
So, yeah. No, I don't have any questions. So,
And that keeps the payoff time frame the same as it originally was?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I meant to mention that. Yes, this keeps the term of the bonds exactly the same.
good.
That's good.
And I should also mention that those savings are net of any fees associated with actually doing the refundings.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Very
That's
good,
great.
Tom. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Tom.
I'll,
Thank you.
don't have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, then I'll move to approve Resolution R-20-50 as presented.
Second?
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner York to approve Resolution R-20-50 as presented. Commissioner Van Oster,
Aye.
Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Thank you,
Good
Commissioners,
job.
and thank you, Tom.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Discussion and action on Coffeyville City Rec Center repairs. City Manager Mark Hall will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, what I have for you tonight is, in fact, I'll kind of give you a little, I forgot to put in some pictures of what we're talking about. So this is an example of the walls. And you
Yep.
see where the moisture is coming through and peeling and that. So before you, and we would ask if, for the commission's consideration on repairs due to the moisture seeping through the walls at the Coffeyville Rec Center. It is one of those that it's coming through the treatments. And we had two bids. Like I explained, they were in January, and the turnaround, this fell through the cracks. It's our fault. But we did have it rebid. It roughly went up, each bid went up about $700, but it comes to the lowest bidder price is one of those that, as you can see, we received from Graham Construction, and that was $7,998. And we had also a bid from Decker Construction, and that was $16,734. We did question and make sure we're apples to apples.
That's what I was gonna say. Scope will
Yes.
work the same.
It is one of
Because it would
those
just
that
seem that it's not.
sometimes we see this in when you're just so busy that you'll say, if I have to do it, I'm gonna make it worth my while. So it is one of those that, so those were the final prices. I did talk to the Recreation Director, and he does have budget authority for the $1,200 to assist with the payment. It would be the cost share of $6,798 from the city of Coffeyville, $1,200 from the Coffeyville Recreation Commission, and that would be the total bid from Graham Construction of $7,998. It is one of those that this is in our 805 City Recreation Building Fund. We do have $7,500 for repairs to the building. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to ask those. It would be, as the recommendation, would be for the city's commission approval of J. Graham Construction, low bid, and the center repairs, and that'll be as described in the motion if the commission wishes to.
Questions or comments?
No.
I think it's
I
much
just, my
needed.
only one was, yes, it's needed,
Yep.
but just to make sure that both were bidding the same
That was mine too.
deals.
Yep.
So
'Cause
much
that sent up a
difference.
red flag. So that's all I just want to make sure of, that, yeah.
Yeah.
With the, it's a minute amount, but the, basically $400 that exceeds what we have available, where does that come from?
Beg your pardon?
So we have a balance available of 7,500,
Yes, that was in
And-
your budget authority.
correct? And the bid is almost 8,000.
Well, you take the 1,200 off that's being paid by
Gonna
the,
pay.
City Rec's paying $1,200.
Very good,
Yep.
thank you.
and that's where you get the
That's why I was
six.
getting all those blank stares.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good question, though.
If there are no other questions, I'll move to approve repairs for the Coffeyville City Rec Center as presented.
I'll second. Or go ahead.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Commissioner Maxon to approve repairs for the Coffeyville City Recreation Center as presented. Mayor Bauer,
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon,
Aye.
Commissioner York,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Ordinance number G-20-01, first reading of ordinance for cost of service updates, electric rate adjustments. Director of Electric Utility Mike Shook.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners.
Good evening.
As you're aware, the City of Coffeyville had an electric cost of service study performed in 2015 by Utility Financial Solutions, which included a rate design at the time. The plan was and remains today to slowly adjust rates to meet cost of service. The recently completed cost of service update by UFS has determined and recommends adjusting rates slightly to achieve cost of service for each individual rate class, as explained at our last commission meeting on 7/14. The process to move each customer class to their respective cost of service has also involved adjusting rates slightly over the 5 years, including originally instituting a customer charge for each rate class, which began in 2015. Tonight's proposed adjustments would ultimately reduce residential and large power customer rates by 0.7 to 1%, while general service customers, they could potentially realize a slight increase of up to 1%. As part of this, we're going to review every customer that's in the general service with demand and general service, make sure they're categorized in the right rate that's applicable to them. So based off of the recommendation from UFS, staff is recommending the rate adjustments as proposed in your packet to be approved with staff updating cost of service again in 2022, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Questions?
Nothing. I went through and picked out 3 categories that I deal with, as far as 2 businesses and my personal. And I figured them up kind of on more like what we had talked about earlier. And I only had differences. I took my last bill, like my commercial one, and figured it's same usage for the next 3 years. And it does increase, like you said, but I had from 1 year it was $3.85. Then the next year $3.49, and then next year a little bit more.
So on those general service accounts, what's actually increasing is the customer charge,
Right.
which is what we recover our fixed cost.
Right.
That's the cost of the lines, the poles, the transformers, because that's the only true way for us to recover that.
That's correct.
But we're in doing this adjustment, we're increasing the customer charge, but we're reducing the cost of the energy.
Right, right. And so that's why it came out just, I mean, you know, I
So
mean, I would
actually,
expect,
Yeah.
I would expect an increase, you know, anyway, no matter what. And that was, and I did that on the one that I'm total electric on versus the one that, let's see, for Isham's, that's just regular service demand. And again, I came up with nothing over $10 difference, you know, because I figured this last bill that we all got would be a good one, because this has been the hotter June that we
It
had
has been.
compared to the last 2 years.
And I would like to add that these adjustments, they're cost neutral to the city and the utility. They're actually shifting, because previously the large power and the residential have actually been subsidizing these general service customers. So we're trying to get them in line where everybody pays their own fair share. But through these adjustments, the utilities revenue doesn't increase at all.
Okay. And then, like you said, on the residential will see a decrease. I did, it's slight, but it's a decrease.
Yep.
And,
But if you use more, you'll actually see a larger
That's right.
increase.
That's
The
right.
actual energy cost goes down. So.
Correct.
I did that.
That is correct.
But, yeah, the only thing I had was, as we had discussed, you know, that customer charge is in there, but it's not pointed out, and that's, if we could maybe see about, like you said, making that detail, broken out on the bill.
Absolutely. We're looking into that
And you said you were
currently
gonna see what you
to put
could do.
the actual, break the bill out and provide a little more detail.
Okay.
We had a great discussion on that today.
We did.
So,
Absolutely. We need to be completely
And,
transparent.
you know,
We-
these rates are still very good. I mean, when you look at Coffeyville Municipal Light and Power, the services you provide, the response time is astronomical. I
This is-
mean, you know, what you're able to do. And so you know, like you said, recouping some of those costs as far as the customer charge. It's just because you're just running a business, is what you're doing.
And our rates are still lower than the
Yes.
investor-owned utilities in this region.
That's right, that's right. So I think that's great, and I don't have anything else, unless anybody else does.
You've done a lot of work on this, obviously,
Yeah.
and so I had several questions that I got with Mike earlier today and was able to get some answers and made me feel a whole lot better about it. So I appreciated the time that you took.
We're very aware of our customers, and we appreciate them, and we don't want to negatively impact our
Absolutely,
customers.
absolutely.
We have 4,000 residential.
Approximately 4,000 residential, a little over 1,000 commercial, industrial, light industrial
Okay.
customers.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Well, I make a motion that we approve ordinance G-20-01 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Van Oster, seconded by Vice Mayor Doan to approve ordinance G-20-01 as presented. Commissioner Maxon.
Aye.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
And
Thank
this
you,
will
Mike,
Commissioner.
very
have to have a
much.
second reading, is that correct?
This will
Yep.
need
Yeah.
a second
And
reading.
then when will those rate changes occur?
They'll take effect October 1,
Okay,
should they pass, October 1.
thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Well, my kids, they use a lot of electricity, so
And we appreciate that.
You're right. I feel your pain. Resolution number R-20-51, a resolution to authorize a subordinate agreement for the benefit of Dirty's Tavern. City Attorney Paul Kreitz.
Commissioners, in 2016, the city made a business loan to Dirty's Tavern of Coffeyville LLC in the amount of approximately $39,000. That loan was secured by a second mortgage on the commercial property on 9th Street, and I think some equipment as well. That mortgage was subject to a first mortgage in favor of Welch State Bank in the amount of $58,500, more or less. Dirty's is in the process of refinancing its loan obligations and perhaps borrowing a little more money to do some additional improvements at the building, I believe. And as a condition of that loan, Welch State Bank is requesting the city to subordinate its loan position to maintain that second position behind Welch State Bank's first mortgage. The subordinated amount is not to exceed $85,660. The loan balance that Dirty's has with the city right now stands at $24,353, so significantly less than what was originally borrowed. The last payment was received on July 10th, and if approved, all of the loan conditions that were originally in place would remain in place.
So
Questions or comments?
It's really not a change from where we're currently at with that, correct?
No, I mean, other than the fact that you're subordinating to an $85,600 loan as opposed to a $58,400 loan, but there again, the loan balance is significantly less now.
Absolutely.
So really no change in position.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have none.
Mayor, could I address that?
Sure.
Again, I'm Max Williams, 3408 West First Street. Does the city actually loan the tavern the money? Is it the city money?
I don't know the original source of that money. The finance director may be able to answer that question.
I have a little problem with it as a citizen. I don't know if you realize or not, property tax has not been paid on that building since 2015. It's not right, people. I pay my taxes every year. They ought to pay theirs. And yet we turn around and loan them money? I don't understand that. Does it seem right to you?
You bring up a good point, Max. You do.
No, you do.
I think there's something wrong. That's all I got to say.
The property tax on that property is current and actually just received a refund for overpayment
When did that happen?
about 2-3 weeks ago.
Before that, it wasn't paid.
There are no other comments or questions. I'll move to approve Resolution R20-51 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner York, seconded by Mayor Bauer, to approve Resolution R-20-51 as presented. Commissioner York.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Doan.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Oster.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Maxon.
Abstain.
City managers report.
Mayor Commissioners, sorry, there we go. Mayor Commissioners, just want to point out in the back, and I know you've read through this, but want to take time to point out our Coffeyville Police Department.
Yep.
As you can see, the 2019, of course, we're still working on 2020, but as you can see, the numbers in our area, when compared to other cities, have gone down. It is one of those that I want to commend the police department, and I guess the chief is still here, and thank you, and thank all of them for their hard work in making Coffeyville safe. It is one of those, I think, through technique and guidance and leadership that we're trying new things. It is one of those that I know the chief and the police department and the officers all plan on reducing crime even further in the future. But this is a big first step, and I think it'll be one that continues. I know in the state of the city, you've seen those numbers drop when we compare ourselves to 2014, which was probably a peak year, would you say? I think that, and that's far before my time, but I think it's when Chief Quinn and the rest of the department decided we've got to do something. And I do want to commend them on is moving this to where we can start reducing crime, which makes Coffeyville more attractive as a place to live, work, and play. So thank you, Chief, and if you'll relay that to everybody, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Other than that, we are trying to keep up. It is one of those with the, I guess you call drought. Would you call it a drought? I don't. Drought. Things are burning, but that means they're slowing, and we wish it was green, but it helps us to keep moving forward and catching back up. Of course, seems like it grows a foot when we get any type of moisture. But staff is out there and working real hard. We've got still projects coming up, and I know you know the playground project. That has been when things calm down a little, and that will be in the fall. So we'll get that done, but everybody's working real hard. We're moving forward, and I would also say I commend the commission for their work on the budget. I think if you listened to me this morning that it was tough choices made by the commission. It is one of those that always our goal, and as public servants, but then as commissioners, is to hold the mill levy if we can. And I think your intention was to do that, especially during these times. And it is one of those, the city, like the commission, needed to tighten their belt just like the other citizens are doing right now. And so I just want to thank you for your guidance during budget, and thank staff. We just get a little leaner and a little meaner. So appreciate it, and if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Thank you, Mark.
I would say that, so Chief here tonight with grants, we've had the fire department get grants, electric department's gotten grants. So that certainly helps in regards to meeting our budget obligations
You
and
bet.
being able to hold the line as well. So I commend all of them for their hard work in that effort as well. So.
They do a great job.
We'll move to comments from commissioners and staff. Don't everybody speak up at once.
I'll jump on the bandwagon. Chief Quinn, you've done good.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
I'll second what Mark said about our budget meeting.
Yes.
It was good. It was good. 2 nights, 2 full nights, and then you guys got an additional night I got off. But then last week we had a 15 or 20 minute one. So yeah, I think the city, all staff did good. You know, if we can hold that mill levy and continue to hold that mill levy and perform at the level that we're performing at right now, I think to Mark's point, you know, grass isn't growing quite as fast right now, so we have some opportunities. But with that, we still have a long ways to go. We got a lot of things to do. So I know that they're using their budgets wisely, and we appreciate that. Again, like I said, to the chief, you know, you're the one who knows what you need in your department, and that goes for staff across the board. So I think that we appreciate all the work that you've put in. So thank you.
Well, it's not just holding the mill levy either, because our assessed value dropped again this year as well.
You're
So
absolutely
it's-
right.
It's actually taking in less tax dollars than we did the prior year, so.
You want to share with how much that
Yes.
was?
Yeah.
$320-some
it was
thousand dollars.
Pretty good
wasn't it?
bite, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The valuation, last year was 93,000 drop, and then this year, for 2021, for 2021 will be 98,000.
Yeah, but then we have our other
Then you have
loss
your,
too
yeah,
of our
yeah, the franchise. fees.
franchise fees.
Franchise
Yeah,
fees.
I was combining the
Yep.
two of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Staff's working on that too.
yeah, yep.
Well, and so one of the answers to that is we have to fix our assessed values, and so that'll be going forward, so, yes.
I agree. They do a great job to figure out how to keep it going, because we still have the same infrastructure, everything to take care of.
Yep.
And trying to do it with maybe some less staff at some points, and smarter and just more efficient takes a lot of effort. And when they present their budgets, it's really great to see all the creative ways that they have come up with to try to make it still work. So we appreciate what everybody does very much.
Just have one more thing. Can we, without breaking any HIPAA or any privacy, what's an update on our city staff related to COVID? How are we recovering?
Oh, thank you. We have a couple in quarantine right now. It is one of those that things settle down. Of course, if you remember, roughly about a month ago, a month and a half ago, we had a big boom.
Yep.
It was one of those that we did have some positive tests out of that, but most of the quarantine and that went through and were fine. Didn't have any severe hospitalizations or anything, so we're good. That right now, you know, of course, the county is increasing like everywhere else. We've broken over 100, and we're moving higher than that. But staff is, I want to say, probably in the next 2 weeks, barring no other combination or any contact or quarantining, we should be close to back to full staff.
Good deal.
So
Good.
we've had a little bit, and I thank everybody, but definitely don't go to a get together in a neighboring town at a station.
Yeah. All right.
All righty.
Thank you, Mark. At this time, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion's made by Mayor Bauer, seconded by Commissioner Van Oster to adjourn. Can I see a show of hands? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.